Alright, it's Head Coach Ross of the Attacks Gym. Taking a clip for you guys. You guys wanted to see me do it right here in the gym. Okay, this deals with the concept of the slow movements that we see that cardio capoeira angoleros use. And by that I mean, when you see them come slow down to the ground and they're picking things up from the ground, they're doing these kind of like picking motions up from the ground, and they're doing this, and and they'll do these motions here and these motions here, and you see them, step forward and touch low on the ground and stuff like that. Well, these movements of theirs come from the fact that they've never trained the authentic art. They are not teaching you correctly. The great majority of them. There are very few who can actually fight and practice the discipline for self-defense, and those are the ones who actually know what they're talking about. Starting with people in my family. Alright? The others, 99.9% of them, which includes most of you watching this and most of you who have yesterday's watching this, do not know what they're talking about. And I'm not saying that to offend you. I'm saying this to help to inform you. Because it's clear that the movements that you use are dysfunctional. They're not useful for self-defense at all. Whereas the history and the proven evidence of the fighting systems from Africa and spread all over the world are the exact opposite. The African warriors are extraordinary fighters and are legendary for being so even today. Okay? So we're talking about people of all African descent, which, when you extend it out, includes all of humanity. So the bottom line is, if you're not practicing a self-defense discipline for self-defense, you're doing it wrong. Whatever else you think you know, you can't know. Because you're not understanding the primary purpose of the movements, so you can't teach it, you can't apply it, anything. I'm going to teach you how to understand what's going on and how to apply it. Okay? First, speaking historically, and there are any number of books and scholars who have already presented evidence about this, ranging from before Dr. Chancellor Williams, including amazing scholars like Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop, and Dr. Chancellor Williams, who will look at his work of Destruction of Black Civilization. Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop, you think of anything of his, pre-colonial Black Africa, civilization of barbarism, anything with his name on it. And same thing with Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, especially Africans in Asia, and any of that you do. Now, and you can also look at two-volume work. I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's called Capoeira, the Jogo from Rwanda to cyberspace, written by a guy named Gerald Taylor, I think. I'll put the links to the books, at the bottom of this description. The idea and the point is that all of these scholars have proven that the purpose of these slow movements is to actually make contact with your opponents and with your initiates, the novice student or the intermediate student, or while they're learning to use particular movements for self-defense. So the techniques you're supposed to use are designed, while they're moving slowly, they're designed to actually make contact, whether you're punching, kicking, elbowing, or using weapons. So that way your student can learn how to transition properly under said attack that's actually trying to hit him or her. So this way they learn the crucial timing, they learn the reality that they're facing when they face movements like this. They learn the utility of moving backwards and blocking, of transitioning, of moving here, using their hands with kicks, transitioning, learning the importance of feinting in positions here, kicking, what you're expecting your opponent to do in response to you. And as you get better with the requisite lesson, whatever it happens to be, you actually, the attack comes faster, and you respond faster. You respond to the unscripted attack more realistically. Whatever it is, you check. You learn to defend against it, and you counter appropriately. So you learn to defend against it, kicking, light them up. This is the type of things you do. You do not do what 99.9% of people tell you to do, especially those cardio capoeiristas from Brazil, or whose lineage goes back to Brazil, and they claim that the art is Brazilian. They don't do anything right. They don't tell you that the purpose of this is the fact that Angoleros in Brazil, so-called Angoleros, they're really practitioners of Ngolo, Mundu Ngolo, which in and of itself is a cousin of Capoeira, which is the name of a fighting style from Congo, from which all of it springs. They don't tell you that because of their political leaning. But the purpose of this is really to pick up things that's on the ground and throw it in your opponent's face, to use your environment as a weapon. That's the purpose of that. The secondary purpose is for spiritual and cultural purposes. Oftentimes the ring itself that you find yourself in, or the practice area itself, has important cultural and spiritual objects in it, and you're actually moving them to their appropriate places so that they don't get touched while you're watching your opponent. That's what you're doing. Because the movements in the ring are generally spontaneous. They're not preset. Although they can be movements that are preset. They're called drills, which everybody uses and knows the value of. Okay? So I want you to understand these things and realize that I am the first person in the history of the world to tell you the truth about these techniques. Watch what happens. Go and watch my videos and then watch what everybody else is doing. I'm already receiving emails and reports from hundreds of people around the world. Many people are copying me. And they're claiming that what they're doing is legitimate and what I'm doing is not. The only reason why I'm bringing this up is because I don't want to confuse you. I'm not an egotistical person. My ego is not at risk here. Bottom line is, I can fight and those guys can't. I can teach you self-defense and those guys don't. That's the bottom line truth. Bottom line. You can see it in the video. The reason why I'm telling you this is so that you don't get confused. You don't get your money taken from you. And you are not misinformed. It's important that all of us are aware of what the entirety of humanity is doing. Starting with the root. The root of the human species is Africa and Africans. And this movement, and all of the relevant movements, according to it, that are part of the movements, all of these things. And yes, we do roll. Yes, we're not afraid of the ground. How can you not roll and be afraid of the ground when you're in Africa? When the terrain is uneven. In many areas, the climate is tropical. You could be running away from a lion and trip over a root and there's a snake there. And you have to not only not get ate by the lion, you have to not break nothing when you fall from the root and not get bit by the snake. How can you be afraid of the ground? We're masters of the ground. Anybody teaching you that we don't move groundwork is lying. Because they don't have the skills. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the understanding. They don't have the practice. Alright? Come to the tax for the real deal. Alright? Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Please follow us on Instagram. Please follow us on Twitter. Please go to my website. Purchase our self-defense instructionals where we get into the animal styles and elemental practices and the elemental principles. Yes, there are animal styles and elemental practices in the fighting systems of Africa and in my family. Yes, that's where it all started from. No, nobody else in the world teaches you that. Only we do. Okay? So, check us out. Go look at my blogs too, on Blogger and on WordPress. That's Capoeira that works. Okay? If you have any questions, leave them at the end of this video or email me at attackgymcapoeira@gmail.com. Alright? Have a beautiful, beautiful day. You know, for myself, head coach Washington Tax Gym, and my cousin, assistant coach Phil, I'm Mani.